Hey everyone, I'm Ron DeJesus, Field Chief Privacy Officer at Transcend. The following is a conversation with Sue Vinci, Chief Privacy Officer at Verizon. With an incredible career spanning just over 2 decades at one of the world's largest telcos, Sue talks to me about what she loves about privacy, what defines a really good Chief Privacy Officer, and how we as privacy teams can shift from being a house of no to becoming a trusted partner in the business. I'm excited to share insights from one of the most respected and experienced professionals in our field today. This is Transcend Field Trips. Sue, I'm so happy that you're here today, especially in New York City. It's one of my favorite cities. I actually used to live here. Did you live in the city before?
I never lived in the city,
Okay.
but very happy to be here today. Beautiful weather,
Yeah.
and so happy to join you.
I am so thrilled to be here, not only for the bodegas and the bagels and just strolling in this vibrant city, but the fact that we were able to make this happen in Manhattan. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to a privacy peer anytime.
Another CPO. Let's dive in. I wanted to first talk about your kind of first foray into privacy. What kind of sparked your interest in this industry? Because for me specifically, I didn't grow up saying I wanted to be a CPO. It was basically an evolution in my career. Tell me about your first foray into privacy.
Yeah, so I've been practicing over 25 years, which of
Yeah.
course means that when I began my legal education, began my legal career,
Mhm.
privacy wasn't a thing, at least the way it is today, of
Mhm.
course. I actually started practicing as a commercial litigator. I spent some time at a law firm and ultimately joined the litigation team at Verizon.
Yeah. And litigation work is quite tough, right?
It was interesting.
Okay.
It was tough.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. And after a few years, I had an opportunity to move from litigation to what we would call a line of business lawyer.
Sure.
Essentially, I was a lawyer for one of the business units that handled consumer operations
Mhm.
and consumer products. And in that role, I had my first exposure to privacy or data protection.
Mhm.
And that was in connection with incident response.
Okay.
And it was fascinating. I really, really loved learning about cyber threat activities, cyber defense. But importantly, in that role, I also had to learn how to communicate about those things to customers, to leadership,
Mhm.
to the media, to regulators. And that was an extraordinary experience for me. And that was really my first exposure to anything in privacy. From there, in that role, I also had the opportunity to start advising the business with respect to products and operations
Mhm.
and privacy.
Nice.
And again, the technology fascinated me, right? I started learning about APIs and SDKs and cookies and pixels
Yeah.
and tags and lions and tigers and bears. Just super fascinating from a technology perspective. And so that's kind of where my experience with privacy began. So not a particular moment in
Mhm.
time,
Okay.
but similar to you, kind of an evolution. From there, I did move into the privacy office and started focusing on privacy full time.
Now, you've had a pretty illustrious career at Verizon, just over 2 decades. What's making you stay at Verizon? Obviously, we're going to talk about your incredible privacy team later on, but why Verizon and why this long?
Yeah, 23 years.
Yeah.
Congrats,
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, I'll say this. Verizon's Chief Human Resources Officer, our CHRO, Sam Hammock,
Mhm.
has a practice. When an employee hits a milestone anniversary, she will reach out and ask them, why have you chosen to stay at Verizon? Simple, great question. And so she reached out to me on a recent anniversary. And, for me, there are 4 things
Okay.
that are really important in choosing where to work. And those 4 things are culture, people, compensation, and interesting work.
Mhm.
And I want to be really clear, like those 4 things have not been in perfect harmony
Sure.
all 23 years I've been at Verizon, but there's always been enough of one or more at any given time for me to choose to stay there.
Okay.
And I'll double click just for a second on culture. The culture of integrity at Verizon is foundational, and that is reinforced very consistently from the top of the house. And that is really, really important to me in choosing where I work.
You call yourself a compliance geek at heart. I think anybody in compliance has to be a geek. I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed geek, and I started my career at the Big Four, kind of doing a lot of audit work. And I'm a really good assessor, if you will. I like getting into the weeds and identifying gaps, but also coming up with kind of recommended mitigation activities to address those gaps. What do you actually love about the work that you do? I know you mentioned, you started off in litigation and then kind of forayed into incident response. Anything else about privacy specifically that you love?
Yeah, so you're right. I am a compliance geek at heart. Yeah. My favorite class in law school was civil procedure.
Nice.
I love a rule book, set of case law. But really, I mean, every day is different, which is one of the things I love the most about this job.
Yeah.
Right? I get up in the morning. I think my day is going to go a certain way. It may not. But every day I am in the weeds with the clients. Privacy is one of those positions in a company where we touch almost every aspect of the business.
Literally every aspect of the business.
I mean, it could be M&A. Are we considering an acquisition? Are we doing a divestiture? Privacy all over that. Obviously, advising the business, the consumer side, the B2B side, U.S., international. It just spans the entire organization. So no shortage of interesting work, lots of challenging questions, lots of balancing risk. And it's just super interesting and I love it.
Tell me, Sue, in terms of traits of a good CPO, obviously we need to be able to interpret laws and apply, what we've interpreted in that law to, speaking with our engineers and product teams and operationalizing privacy controls. I'm personally not a lawyer. I've actually been lucky enough to be a chief privacy officer with a more operational background. Talk to me a little bit about, again, other than kind of the legal expertise, what makes a really good CPO?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have the legal expertise.
Sure.
You got to have the knowledge, the know-how, whether it's the law or the operations. That's kind of table stakes. A couple of characteristics I think are really critical. So one, I would say, is composure. So we deal with a lot of high stress things, high risk, high exposure every day. If you show up with your hair on fire, everybody else's hair is going to be on fire.
Sure.
And as the leader of that organization, you have to show up and set the tone. That's easier said than done. And listen, we all lose it sometimes. But I do think it is really critical to identify the things that will help you maintain that composure when you show up at the office. And what works for me is not going to work for somebody else, right? We all know what makes us tick.
Yeah.
We all know what triggers us.
Yeah.
And so you've got to find what works for you.
Absolutely.
Is it sleep? Is it food? Is it hobbies? Is it exercise? Time with family, time with friends, whatever it is, do what you need to do so that you're showing up with the right tone. The second thing I would say that I think is really critical is curiosity.
Okay.
And I say that both from an external perspective, you need to be really curious. What's happening in the political landscape? What's happening in the legislative landscape? What's happening in the business world that's going to affect your company, your clients, and then internal facing, having curiosity about your clients.
What matters to your stakeholders, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are their goals? What are their challenges? What are their successes look like? What are their failures? Help them get to where they need to be, have them view you as a true partner, and you will be far more successful.
I love the word partner because, again, as CPOs, I think we have tentacles in every aspect of the business. This is actually a good segue into my next question, which is traditionally as compliance folk, we are viewed as the house of no, or we're viewed as roadblocks. And I think you've heard this before. How do we actually get out of that rut? How do we change that perception of us as, putting a stop to things versus becoming trusted partners, becoming enablers of business and contributing to the bottom line?
So I think it's a matter of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think of privacy as a regulatory obligation? I mean, certainly it is.
Sure.
But is that your priority? Is it you're showing up with your compliance hammer? Or do you think of privacy as a business imperative? And what I mean by that is customers want to do business with companies they can trust.
Mm-hmm.
People want to work for companies that they can trust.
100%.
And privacy is a key component of trust. So we are competing every day to gain customers and retain customers, attract new talent and retain talent. And privacy is really pivotal to that. And I think when you frame it that way and you realize it is a strategic imperative, you're coming to the table with a different mindset, and you can partner with your business. I think we shouldn't view privacy and the privacy experience outside of the overall customer experience. You want everything you do, everywhere you touch your customers, to reflect your brand.
Mm-hmm.
Have you asked your customer experience team to come in and look at your privacy flows? Have you asked your customer experience team to look at your templates for when you're responding to privacy inquiries? You want to make sure that experience is elegant and fully reflects your brand end to end.
And have you asked your marketing team if they've looked at the privacy notice that talks about cookies in a while, right?
Absolutely.
I wanted to focus on this, again, idea of us being trusted partners. And stepping back a little bit, Sue, how do we actually first engage the stakeholders that we support? Have you found good strategies in terms of, going out to your product and engineering or marketing folks? Is there a good way to engage folks that aren't traditionally or might not have privacy as their primary focus?
I think it's important that you don't show up just when something is new or different, and you have some kind of obligation that you're going to put on the business, right? Showing up every day, being in staff meetings, meeting the business where they are, understanding their goals, understanding their challenges, being a true partner and being there every single day, building those relationships. I think, the expression is it's too late to find a friend when you need a friend. Right? You've got to be there day in and day out as a true partner.
Yeah. What I found works well is, for example, going to product team meetings if they're talking about their, Q4 roadmap, just listening in, being a fly on the wall and really understanding what makes them tick, I think is a really good strategy to build those relationships. Shifting gears a little bit, Sue, wanted to talk about kind of future-facing challenges. What are you, in the next 3 to 5 years, let's not even think about the 10 years, but in the next 3 to 5 years, what are the 1 or 2 things that might keep you up at night or that are kind of top of mind for you?
I mean, listen, we are living in a time of rapid change. That's no exception for privacy. And when I look back a few years ago, and we saw state privacy law starting to really take off, right? California passed a comprehensive law. Several other states followed. And at the time, there was, I think, an expectation that this might go the way that the data breach laws went, meaning every state's going to pass one law. The core will be similar. There'll be some outliers. And then we'll be done. We'll have some finality and we can move forward. Little did we know. That's certainly not what happened, right? We've got states with comprehensive laws. They're already amending them to keep up with the next best thing. And we're seeing laws, of course, biometrics, children's data, health law, age assurance, social media. I mean, this proliferation. And as far as we can tell, that's not going to stop anytime soon. So one of the big challenges I think facing us is managing expectations. This is the new normal. And there's a lot of fatigue that comes with that. So really managing the expectations around that. And the other thing is doing the very best we can do, as I said earlier, thinking what's happening on the political landscape, what's happening on the legislative landscape, do the very best we can to look around the corners, predict where things are going, and help future-proof for the business, because it is resource intensive, and that's a real drain, particularly in business people who have lots of other objectives and requirements.
1000%. What I've also found helpful is just engaging with your fellow CPOs. I don't think it's, we often work in a silo, right? And there's not a lot of ways to engage. And that's what I'm trying to change as field CPO at Transcend, so that we share this knowledge that we have with one another. But great insights on that. There's a lot of aspiring privacy professionals coming into this space. And I love seeing just the evolution of, what they're thinking about. And actually with my content specifically, I'm trying to reach younger generations as well. Any advice for these aspiring privacy pros, given your tenure in this industry?
Yeah, like how exciting that this is just, a thriving area, both legal and non-legal practice. I love the energy and the enthusiasm, and the excitement. A couple of things, and I have to give a nod to one of my stellar colleagues, Shema and Birakura, who's very wise and has kind of shaped my thinking on this. A couple things I would advise young professionals today. And first is to be the very best you can be in the job you have today. And there's a Steve Martin quote, right? Be so good they can't ignore you. And there's a great book by Cal Newport by the same title. If you can do that and really dig in, it may not guarantee you that the next opportunity comes your way, but it certainly improves your chances. And it also increases the opportunities that could come your way. And so I think that's just really important. Not as good as the next guy, not better than the next guy. Be the very best you can be in what you do today.
I love that.
The second thing I would say is to be really thoughtful about the things you like and don't like about your current job. Be really intentional and mindful about that, because it will help inform the decision you make about an opportunity that comes your way. And it will also help inform the opportunities that you seek out. Not every job is what we expect it's going to be. So take a beat and really think about that. And the last thing I would say is to be really open to opportunity. Please don't restrict yourself and think you have to go lockstep within a privacy organization to achieve that next goal. There are a lot of things that are adjacent to privacy, other things in a business that can really help you grow and develop skills that will make you a better privacy professional. As I said, I spent 8 years as a line of business lawyer. I had a front row seat to the business. Right? I got to see the operations day in and day out. I got to see the challenges. I got to celebrate the triumphs and saw success and saw failure. And that made me a far better privacy professional when my turn came to move into privacy and support that business unit from that angle. Yeah. So really keep your options wide open.
The next question for you, if you could change one thing about privacy today, what would it be?
So I love this question, Ron. You've asked me some hard questions. This one, I think, actually is an easy one. And I think a lot of folks who practice privacy in the United States today would agree, if I could change one thing, it would be to enact comprehensive federal privacy legislation. We're dealing with a patchwork that I don't think benefits consumers. It's confusing, and very challenging for businesses. I think consumers would benefit from some certainty, whether you make your home here in the Big Apple, whether you make your home on the coast of California or anywhere in between. Having sort of a core, consistent set of privacy rights, I think would really benefit consumers. Businesses could direct resources to a single set of requirements, and that would benefit businesses as well. And I would have to hope, too, that framework would eliminate some of the weaponization of privacy that we're seeing with some of the state laws. For example, New Jersey's Daniels Law, born out of tragedy, with the noble goal of protecting public servants and their families from harm. And we see some provisions in that law that are being exploited that are really not in line with the spirit of the law. So all of that to say, I would really love to see comprehensive federal privacy legislation.
Bonus question.
Sure.
When do you think we're going to see comprehensive privacy legislation?
I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. I can say Verizon has been advocating for federal privacy legislation since 2011. So we're coming into 15 years. Maybe 2026 will be the year.
I'm laughing because I went to a privacy conference, like an IAPP one, say 3-4 years ago, and there was a panel of CPOs who said, no doubt we're going to see it in the next 2 to 3 years, right? So it's just funny to me, but I completely agree. And last question for you, Sue.
Okay.
What keeps you up at night?
So, Ron, I have to tell you, I have the privilege of working with the most extraordinary, most talented team of privacy professionals in the world, bar none, full stop. Privacy legal experts who have, breadth and depth of legal skills, privacy compliance operations folks who have extraordinary skills. And so I have to say that with that kind of bench, I sleep very well at night.
Sue, this was a wonderful discussion. I'm so excited that we were able to do this. Thank you so much for sharing all of these incredible insights. And I hope to see you soon at the next conference.
I will see you then. This has been great. Thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you.